Hi everyone, it's Eric, the President-elect of the Ohio Archaeological Council. I'm going to take a few minutes to go over a few things about WebEx, the spring meeting, how we're going to be able to watch a live stream of the spring meeting, and a few things that are going to be a little bit different. I'm excited to announce something new that we're going to be doing for the spring meeting since this will be our third virtual members meeting. I figured it might be nice to have a tutorial video explaining what we expect to have happen and a few of the things that we're going to kind of organize and structure here. But I'm also excited to announce a new event that we're going to be doing at the Spring 2021 meeting, and that's virtual poster sessions. So I'm going to walk through towards the end of the video what that's going to look like, and also how you can potentially win a $25 certificate to forestry suppliers by participating in our virtual poster session. So first things first, we should probably talk about the Ohio Archaeological Council website. So this is where you're going to find any updates about the spring meeting. Check out the news page of the OAC website. Normally about 2 weeks before the meeting, I'm going to send out an announcement to the effect of the schedule, any links that you might need for, say, the live stream, because we'll probably have a lot of options for live streaming. We'll probably use my Twitch account again to stream that on Twitch, but we'll also have YouTube Live. I just tested that out earlier today and it worked just fine. We should also potentially have Facebook Live, although I don't want to make any promises for that. I'd prefer you go to YouTube because I know that one works for sure, and we won't have the same issues we had with the last meeting. But I'm going to go over what to expect on WebEx next, but I just thought I'd mention that here. If you have any questions about the stuff that I'm going over, don't hesitate to email me with any particular questions or troubleshooting that you're having or need help with. If you go to the About page on the OAC website, you go to Officers and Committee Members, you'll find my email address along with all the other officers and committee members that you can reach out to and get in contact with any questions you might have. So with that being said, I'm going to turn now to WebEx. So I'm using actually I'm going to rearrange my talking head here so you can see what's going on. I'm going to make it a little smaller there. So as you can see, I have WebEx desktop application installed right now. So you might get a little bit of different look to it, or mileage may vary, as they say, if you are using the mobile application or if you're using it within a web browser. So for what I'm explaining, I'm doing the desktop application. You'll be able to open the desktop application even if you just get sent a link via email on the members list. If you click the link, it'll ask you, do you want to launch the desktop application? And then you'll get sent into something like this. So you'll see a lot of options here. It might look a little different because I'm the host of this one and it's just me by myself. It's not actually a meeting. But it kind of gives us the layout of what it's going to look like. So you've got something that might look a little different from our last meeting in the fall of 2020 is we have breakout sessions in the main meeting. So you're probably familiar with the main meeting section, and you're probably familiar with raising your hand if you want to talk. The netiquette that I just wanted to go over real quick, and I know this is probably me sounding like an educator, so don't be too mad at me for going into education mode. But the netiquette of it, internet etiquette, is if you're not presenting or you're not asking a question, then to conserve on bandwidth, so basically to increase the quality of the audio and visual signals that are coming out for the presenter, we want to minimize the amount of taxing that we're doing on the bandwidth of the call. So that means you'll want to mute yourself and you'll want to turn your camera off. To reiterate that, if you're not presenting and you're not asking a question, as much as we'd all love to see your lovely faces, it's really taxing on WebEx's servers to handle, say, 50 or 100 or more people who have their cameras on and their microphones on. That's a lot of data being transmitted across the internet. So we want to minimize that amount of data transfer so that only the speakers who need to have their cameras and mics on have them on. Now, that being said, a few of the board members, such as myself or the president, will probably have our cameras on in general, but that's more of a transparency thing so that you can at least see our faces. I'll probably have my mic off most of the time when I'm not presenting, but it'll be on and off a lot during those meetings, just simply because I have to logistically be doing a lot for these online hostings. So you can mute yourself down here at the bottom where it says mute, and you can see that I'm not muted right now because the little microphone has the green bar that's moving up and down with the sound of my audio. So if I mute it here, I am now muted. Granted, you can still hear me because I'm not recording the audio through WebEx. I'm recording it through a separate program. And then you can also start your video. I'm not going to start the video because then we'll get an inception camera of a camera of a camera of a camera all the way down. So it doesn't really matter for our purposes. You can start the video. You have your video options if you right click on these arrows here. Same with the audio options. I have a lot of mics and a lot of cameras, so there's a lot to select from for me. But you might have a much simpler setup where you just have a built-in microphone and a webcam, say if you're using a laptop. So it'll just be the default settings for you. So you don't really have to worry too much about that, or at least we hope. But again, if you have questions, just email me and I'll be happy to answer them for you. You'll also notice that there is, like I said, the breakout section, which we'll get into in a second. But I've also opened up the chat here. So the chat function, you may have used it in the last 2 meetings. You may have chosen not to, but right now it's set to anything I type is going to be sent to everyone. Now in this drop down menu there would be a list of everyone that I could potentially chat with within the WebEx meeting. So right now anything I would type in the chat, it's going to be sent to everyone. And so now it says from Eric Olson to everyone, and it says the timestamp on it as well. But I could select a specific person, say if you needed to reach me or any of the other board members because someone's going over time, or you want to make a friendly reminder or ask a question, but you don't want to ask it in front of everyone or to everyone to distract people. So you might want to send a direct message to someone. You have that ability in the chat. And it's also a great function to reach out, like I said, to any of the board members, myself included, since I'll be hosting the meeting. If you're concerned that someone's going over, you can let me know from a direct message. And this is also going back to the netiquette of things. Because we're not physically in the same room with each other, I kindly ask that anyone who's presenting, or this is just general rule of thumb for presenters, you can't see me on a video call pointing to my watch or saying wrap it up or you've got 5 minutes. So we want to avoid situations where I have to, unmute myself and talk over you and say, hey, you spilled over to other people's time. Please wrap it up. So be mindful of the time because I cannot be mindful of the time for you when we're on an online setting like this. If you're not looking at the chat and you're not looking at the camera, which has me on it, then you have no visual cues to let you know that you need to wrap it up or hurry up with your time. So I thought I'd just throw that in there as well for the netiquette. But to the breakout sessions, basically we'll have breakout sessions set up in advance of the meeting. So you won't have to worry about what they're going to look like. We'll create all of them for you. And you see over here it says join. So right now there's nobody in this poster session. There's 0 of 0 people in the poster session, but I could join this poster session. So you're joining poster session 1. And now you can see I've had this poster session going for 31 minutes because I set a lot of this up well in advance of starting to record this video. So now I'm in this poster session and it's all the similar stuff as before, but now I'm not in the same main presentation settings as I was before. There are 2 different ways you can leave a breakout session if you want to go back to the main session that's going on. So a breakout session might be useful for our poster presentations if, say, you want to have a breakout session with the first poster that's put up on Padlet, the site that we'll be hosting all of the posters on. So the main way you can leave a poster session is down here in the red button where it says leave session. So you can leave a session that way, or if you go up here to breakout sessions and you go to leave breakout session. Either way, it's going to leave the breakout session. So if I click leave session, it's going to take me back to the main session. And I can still see all these other posters as well, or these other poster sessions that are listed there, and then I could maybe go back and join another one. So this creates the opportunity to dip in and out, sort of like you would in a real conference or a real meeting in person, where you might step into another room that has a different presentation going on, or you want to have a conversation and pull someone aside. So there are multiple breakout sessions that we will have for people to have a discussion with the authors of that work that might have pinpointed questions that aren't general, and we don't have to, sort of necessarily take turns in such a large setting as the main chat. So those are the main things I wanted to mention for WebEx. Hopefully that's a good primer on things. Remember, this is the WebEx desktop application version of it, and not the mobile or the web browser. Your mileage may vary on those. The next thing I wanted to talk about is Padlet. So Padlet is essentially a teacher's tool that I've used in other settings. Essentially, it's a blank canvas or a bulletin board that we can use. Think of it in the same way you would a board that you would put a poster up on. And so right now we have a test or an example of a Padlet. What it could look like, it'll probably look something similar to this, at least background, and maybe the logo will change and whatnot. But you can post anything related to your content. We might do a moderator session of this depending on how many people we get in response to wanting to do a poster session. But essentially, you can see here I've created a test post. Welcome to the test Padlet page for the Ohio Archaeological Council Spring 2021 meeting. I attached a photo. You can make that photo a lot bigger. So if you're worried about, say, image quality, we've got, I think, 15 gigabytes of storage space that we can use on our Padlet. So that being said, I'd still prefer to not have 1600 DPI or something bonkers for your images. But just know that you can type out anything you want. You can upload all sorts of images. So essentially, you can kind of create a custom poster here on Padlet. And it's super simple. The way you do that is you go down to the bottom right. You can see right here where there's the plus sign. Double click anywhere, drag files in, paste from clipboard, or click here to post. So there's lots of different ways you can drag and drop, but the simplest way I think is to just hit the plus sign, start a new one, type in the title of your work, type in the content that you want to put. So maybe you have a poster that you've worked on in Publisher or in Word or some other document. You can just copy and paste it here, and then you can upload your images. The upload sign right here. You can attach links. If you wanted to use a picture that you have on your webcam, you can do that as well. So there's lots of different options that you have. And we'll may or may not use the likes option on Padlet. And there's also an option for, you can rate posters. We probably won't do something like that, but we'll probably have the like function in there as well. And then you can also have the option of being anonymous or putting your name in there. Obviously, if you're submitting a poster and you want to be considered for the $25 gift certificate, we're going to need a name with the poster. And you can comment on things. So you can see down here, add a comment. Because I posted this, I can't add I guess I can add a comment to my own post, and I can like it. But the nice thing about Padlet is that as long as you have a link to the Padlet server, you can edit your own posts, make comments on other people's posts, and sort of just kind of engage with the community on that specific Padlet page. So think of this as where the poster session will visually be represented, but the actual discussions that we might have with the authors or with other people will be on those WebEx breakout sessions. So super simple, hopefully it's straightforward. You can also trash things. So here's the trash delete option. So I'm going to get rid of that. So as people add to it, it's going to start to fill up on the screen here, and you can put comments in there. Yeah, so Padlet is super easy, pretty straightforward. You don't even have to have an account or a login to use Padlet. You could just enter your name into whatever post you're doing, so that way we know who's going to be posting each poster presentation. So that's where the posters are going to be presented. And then those of you who do decide to submit a poster, please email me in advance so that I can start to plan what the Padlet's going to look like, make sure there's not too much space occupied, give me an idea of how much memory storage that you're going to be using. So if you've got lots and lots of photos, I might ask you to scale back on those photos just because I want to preserve the amount of data that we're using on the site. But super easy, super straightforward. If you're posting a poster on Padlet, you will be entered into a raffle to win a $25 gift certificate to Forestry Suppliers. And I will announce the winner at the end of the meeting based on who has entered their poster in the poster session, and then we can coordinate the logistics on how to get the gift certificate to you. So if you want an opportunity to win a gift certificate, you've got to put something on Padlet for the poster presentation. So hopefully you'll find, that's going to do it for this video. Stay tuned for any updates on the Spring 2021 meeting. Don't hesitate to reach out to me through my email, as I mentioned at the top of this video, And please submit a poster for the virtual poster session. I'm really excited about this new event that we're going to be doing virtually. Hopefully it spices things up from the past 2 virtual meetings that we've done and allows people to present their data in a way that's a little bit different than what we've done in the past. So I'm looking forward to it. And until then, I am signing off.